Hey guys, welcome to the Trish Lynn Show. We have quite the echo, and I'm really hoping that it's not so bad on your end. I am in my new home, so it's empty, and that's why there's the echo, but still having an amazing conversation today. Today we are talking about moving through imposter syndrome, and it's going to be such a good topic to talk about with Alyssa. This is what she specializes in. So as soon as she comes on, as soon as she sees that we are live, we will bring her on and get this conversation going. I'm like wondering if there's anything I can do to make it not so echoey. So hopefully on your end, it's not so echoey. And I see she's on now. So now we just need her to be notified that we are live so that she can join us. We are having technical problems on all ends. So her stand just broke. She's just messaged me. I had to move locations because my office was way too echoey, but now I'm noticing that this is like super echoey as well, but we will get there. And hopefully we don't lose signal. I don't even know how great the signal is here. There she is. Okay, so we can get her on. Alyssa, if you can request to join. And I'll warn you guys right now, my daughter may come running through the front door. I'm not sure yet because I did say I was going to be in my office, but that's not a possibility. It was way too echoey. What is happening? I've accepted. There we go.
We're here.
I'm hoping I'm not too echoey. I was in my office, so I just moved today. I got the keys, and I was in my new office.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But it was way too echoey, but now I'm noticing even out here it's really echoey, so I hope it's not coming across that way.
No, it's not too bad on my end now.
Perfect, perfect. So I let everyone know that we were talking about imposter syndrome. So I will let you say hi and introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do. I know that imposter syndrome is something that you specialize in, so I'm really excited to dive into this conversation today.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Zongetti, and I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist. And as Trish said, I specialize in working with people on their confidence levels and overcoming their imposter syndrome. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, people, career professionals, really anybody, right? We all suffer from it in different areas of our lives, whether it's in a professional capacity or personal capacity. It's something I see with all my clients. And so that's why I really tried to start specializing in that, because I just see it no matter what people come to me for, whether it's for something like a fear of flying or fear of the dentist to something more deep rooted like the imposter syndrome. I see it rooted in three things, which is our lack of self-confidence, self-love, and self-worth. And so all feeds into imposter syndrome, right?
I love it, and those are all pieces that I work with my clients out of, coming out of a toxic relationship. So I love how it all blends together, and it's like such a line of, a red line of like connection for all the pieces through every area, which is amazing.
Right.
So one, let's talk about what imposter syndrome is for someone who maybe doesn't know what imposter syndrome is. And this could be something they're experiencing, but they don't even know they're experiencing it.
Yeah, so for me, the definition really is feeling like you don't belong or you don't have the confidence in doing something you want to be doing. So I like to give examples. And for me, again, I'll use somebody that's an entrepreneur. And they may have this great business idea. They may be in their business already, but they feel like a fraud when they're out there. They're out there promoting themselves. You may not even realize it because you might be out there, you might be on social media, you might be here doing Instagram lives or podcasts and things, right? But inside, you feel like a fraud. You're like, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable enough. all those messages we say to ourselves that we just don't feel that we belong. I see that a lot in social situations too, with clients, especially. That, maybe there's a circle of people, like whether it's moms or other professionals, or maybe again, you're an entrepreneur and you don't feel comfortable in a circle of other entrepreneurs because you feel you don't belong. And it's funny because I was just at a networking event yesterday. We were talking a little bit about this, and I don't care who you are, you suffer from imposter syndrome in some capacity
Yeah.
and in some level. And it, like you just said, it's recognizing it to be able to then try to move through it and overcome it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And for me, I shared this on my business page probably a month ago now. I was on a TV show with in a panel of 4 other women, I believe it was, and it hit me. I was on there with doctors, well-established life coaches, well-established marketing coaches, and I'm like, holy shit. And we were live. We were streaming live. There is no chance
Right.
to sit. And I was like, okay, breathe. I'm alive. I'm here. She chose me to be here. I've got this. And like talking myself up, because it's in that moment when you're live. You're streaming on a TV show, being asked questions on a panel with doctors.
Right. 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 And that's these are the messages we play with ourselves. But I think it's amazing that you were able to recognize that and then say, no, right? I am here for a reason. There's a reason I'm in this room. Somebody asked me to be here. And, I'm somebody that believes like there's no coincidences. Like if you're in that space, you're there for a reason. Whether somebody invited you or you showed up yourself, there's a reason you're there.
Yeah.
And it's all comes down to our mindset. And we can talk ourselves out of things very easily, but we can also talk ourselves into things very easily.
Yeah. I find we can get stuck in a lot of times, so like after a toxic relationship, we come out of this feeling like nothing. Like we're just a shell. We don't know who we are anymore. Our confidence has been dwindled to nothing because we were told we were nothing for so long. For me, nothing was ever good enough. Nothing was ever enough. Even in my business, I signed a client. Well, that's not good enough. I signed another client. Well, that's not good enough. Like all of the things. So then we get into these spaces, or we have these conversations. It has taken a lot of inner work for me to be able to have these conversations, because in the beginning, even now, I have moments when I sit with marketing specialists and I'm like, do I know what I'm talking about? And then I start talking and I recognize, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. But you have those moments where that self-doubt creeps in. No matter who you are, how long you've been doing the work. I've been doing the inner work for 4+ years, almost 5 years now, like consciously paying attention to what it is that I'm doing. And it still creeps in all of the time.
Yeah. And I think it's such a great point that, especially in the personal development work, right? It truly is a journey. And, one thing I've learned through this is like, it's not like nothing's linear. It's going to be up, down, forwards, backwards. And I don't think we're ever like, I'm healed, I'm great, I'll never feel the imposter syndrome again, right? Like that's not going to happen. So, you may be at some high points, but then you may end up at low points again. And like you said, you just experienced it last week, but you do the work and so you have some tools and you know how to work through it, but it doesn't mean it's not going to show up for you. And I think that's what people need to remember. I feel like, again, I talk with people all the time and they're so hard on themselves because they're like, I know better. I should have did this. I should have did that. Well, like we can't do that, right? Like I love that term. Like we shouldn't should all over ourselves because we're human.
That's it.
And
We're
it's
human.
going to happen,
Yeah. It's bringing back, I think we live in such a society where everything is expected to be perfect. And then, we take entrepreneurs here in the online space. We get into the online space and we expect everything to be perfect. We've seen so many, perfectly curated feeds. And when we don't have a perfectly curated feed, are we good enough? To be honest, Instagram, this show page is my favorite, my business Instagram. It's not my favorite. This I love because it's not perfect. And it is only the show covers I create. I'm not worrying about curating like this perfect looking feed, because then you question, am I good enough to be on Instagram?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I have such a love-hate relationship with this platform because it's great. Like get to connect with amazing individuals you might not otherwise connect with. But right, the pressures of having this perfectly curated feed and these perfectly curated photos, it's like, come on, that is not what I look like every day. And so
Exactly.
I just love when it's more real because that's what everybody connects to. But we've gotten to this world of like the highlight reels of social media, and that can really weigh on our mindsets and our
Yeah.
subconscious mind because we think everybody's got it together and, oh, their business must be perfect. And, everybody's a 6 and 7 figure earner. And it's like, well, probably not. And how
Yes.
many years did it take them to get there?
And I am loving, this is completely off topic, but that's why I love this show. Facebook has actually put in a ban now for posting your income.
Oh, I did not hear this.
They are removing, if you say, I earned X amount, they're removing all of those posts because it's preying on people. You don't know
Wow.
how they earn that amount. I love it. I was so excited because I don't sell from money. Have my clients see the results 100%, but do I use
Right.
that as a selling point? No. In private conversation, yeah, but not as a come into my space so I can make millions while you struggle through, because that's what a
Right.
lot of it is.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so interesting. I didn't hear that. I do. Again, there's a lot of noise out there, right? Like, and that again can really impact our imposter syndrome. Like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with all social media, but we have to, this is one thing that I tell to a lot of people is we have to really monitor our time on social media. We all get into the doom scrolls and, we lose track of time, but I don't think people realize how much that's weighing on their mindset and really impacting them just by doing like it's because our brains are taking note, right?
Yeah.
They're storing all of this away in our, files in our brain. And it may not seem like anything to you at that point, but then something may trigger for you later on down the line. Then you're like, oh, that's right. I saw so and so, had this perfect vacation where my kids didn't act up and every like I have all these beautiful photos. Well, and I'm not a mom, but that is not reality. I've been with plenty of
So,
friends and family, like where the kids are screaming, throwing things, having temper
yeah.
tantrums. Like that's reality. Can we put that out there, people?
Yeah, that's reality. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, and that is reality. One kid wants to be here, one wants to be here. I took them away for March break last year, and I'm watching. You see all of the perfect family photos, and I'm like, I'm gonna blow my fucking head off because everyone wants to be everywhere, and there's only one of
Yeah.
me, and I can't be everywhere. Thank God my oldest is old enough to do his own thing and take care of one of them, so I can do something else. But it's looking at those perfectly curated feeds, the family photos. I've never had a family photo taken ever, and that's why we are at the end of October having family photos done
Oh,
with my grandparents. But
nice.
it'll be
Yeah.
the first time ever. And it was only just planned today, which is funny enough.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it brings in, you can feel so out of place that then you doubt yourself, you doubt what you're creating, you doubt the path that you're forging forward. And you question it all. There's so many times I've wanted to throw in the towel because I'm like, well, who am I to be here?
Right.
And then it's
Totally.
throwing on those blinders and just, when I'm on social media, my social media is my work and that is it. Because otherwise it becomes this consuming, everything.
It does. And you don't even notice it's happening a lot of the time. Like it is amazing how you can just get sucked in so quickly. Um, but it's like I said, it's a great tool if you use it for what it's meant for.
Yeah.
But then really just protecting your energy otherwise, because again, it can spiral out really quickly.
Yeah. So do you have any tips or tricks for anyone who is experiencing imposter syndrome?
So for me, this is one tip that I always give people because I feel like it's an easy change, and we can live in this world of I have to do things, right? Like you said, you just moved. I can only imagine how long your to-do list is today, right? And you're probably like, oh my gosh, I have to get onto this Instagram live. I don't have time for this, right? Like we can again play all these narratives. But switching the script to say, I get to do this. I
Exactly.
don't have to do this. I get to do this. And that is such a simple switch we can all make when life's feeling really heavy, when things feel overwhelming, when you feel like you don't belong and you're like, no, like I am here for a reason. Like I get to do this. So that's always one little switch that I feel like people can implement today, right? We all get that overwhelm. We all feel burnt out. Um, and I think the other thing for the imposter syndrome is, we're very quick to either say, notice everything we didn't accomplish, or
Yes.
like, yeah, even as simple as a to-do list, right? You might have 20 things on your to-do list. You cross off 15 of them, but you're like, oh, I didn't get to those five. So it's being a little gentler and kinder to ourselves and
Yeah.
saying, well, what did I accomplish? And so when it comes to the imposter syndrome, again, if it's maybe something with your business, say, well, what do I bring to the table? Because I imagine you can come up with 50 things you're amazing at instead of focusing on the one thing that you're like, oh my gosh, like, no, this is, I'm horrible at this, or whatever it may be. Again, I was at an event yesterday and we were all joking. There were some women there that loved numbers and data and all that stuff, and others of us were like, oh my gosh, like, that's like our worst nightmare, right?
Yeah.
We all have gifts that we bring to the table, and we all have things that light us up inside. Focus on those things. We're not going to be amazing at everything. That's, again, not reality, but really focus on what you are good at. What's strong, like, what are your strong suits? What do you bring to the table? Because we all have our own unique gifts. And I think when we could focus there versus on the things maybe we're not so great at or we don't feel so confident about, it's easy to change the script.
Yeah, I love that, and it's something that I do with my client. It's funny, our brains are almost the exact same, because you're saying this, I'm like, yeah, I agree with you 100%, because I do this. I just did this for myself, because I was having a moment, and I'm like, nah, we gotta sit, and we gotta look at everything that I bring to the table, because that's when you get to recognize. I feel like I just wrote a piece of content on this as well, which is funny, because that's when you get to recognize your abilities, what you are capable of, how fucking amazing you really
Yes.
are, right?
Yes,
like, and you
absolutely.
own that power, and you get to step into that power, and then you walk into the room like, hey, you can't fuck with me because I got this, this, and this, and I know what I'm doing. And it's that energy that really is the magnet for all of the things that you're creating.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it was interesting in this conference that I spoke at last week. We started talking a little bit about toxic positivity too, right? And so I do think it's something that needs to be addressed in the conversation as well. We can say, be positive, be happy, be proud of yourself, right? Like, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's doable. You can change the narrative for yourself. Your mind is very powerful, and words and language are very powerful. And so, again, making that little shift of I get to versus I have to. I mean, it's such a little thing,
but it's such a big shift. That's one of the things I do all of the time. And if someone's complaining to me about something, usually it's my mom, and I know she's gonna watch this after because she is out with Emma right now. But you don't have to do anything. You get to do this.
Yeah.
You get to go get groceries. I'm sorry, you get to put food in your fridge. There are a lot of people who don't get to do that. And I find too, not only when you shift that thinking from I have to I get to, you're creating more gratitude in your life as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's where it needs to come from. It's not about this toxic positivity, but being more in gratitude and thankful for what we do have. And again, instead of just always thinking about what we don't have,
Yeah.
but really focusing on what we do.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say, and now it slipped my mind because my phone changed the lighting on me, and then it's my brain.
All the tech challenges, my goodness.
Hey, we're here. We made it. I wasn't even sure how good the service was here, but
yeah, but
I'm so happy to be here.
But I think that's a great testament to you. You're just going for it. You're not worrying about it. You're like, I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm showing up. It might not be perfect. It might not be the perfect setup that you want. It might not be the perfect lighting, but you're here because, again, you get to do this. You get to have this conversation. You get to share your wisdom with everyone.
And yeah, I planned this show into my day, into my moving. I was on everyone last night. I'm like, I need to know what's going on because I have a show to do, and I need to know where I'm gonna be so I know what I have to bring with me. So I brought my ring light with me. I brought my iPad so that I could be on here and still see what was going on, like making sure that I'm set up in an echoey house because it's empty. But we're here. We're doing
here.
it. We get to have
We're doing
fun.
it. Yeah. And I have to recognize that, like, you are always doing, like, every time I go on Instagram, you are there showing up, and I think that's huge. That's a big part of it too. I think, another great tip for imposter syndrome is the more you do it, the more confident you will become in it. So if again it's showing up on social media, if it's maybe speaking on a stage, if it's showing up to work in a more confident way, whatever it may be, the more you do it, it's like a muscle, right? The more you flex that muscle, the more you work that muscle, it's going to get easier.
It just
And so
becomes
it's
memory.
yeah, it's just pushing through that fear a little bit. And each time it'll get easier and easier and it's going to build your confidence.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. You know, I have some women who come on the show and they're nervous, and I'm like, I got you. We're good. I remember my first Facebook Live. I was sweating buckets by the time I was done. I was so nervous, and now I look back and I'm like, what was I nervous for? Like, why?
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
I remember I wouldn't go on social media or do live. Well, it was hard for me to even get on lives or like go live on my stories. And if I did, it was like had to be dressed perfectly, full face of makeup, like hair done. Now I'll be like in my pajamas, like I don't care. Who cares?
Exactly. And sometimes if the lighting's bad, you slap on a filter because it just helps.
Right,
You
like
say what you want to say.
yes, yes, like just show up, just be there because someone needs what you have to offer.
Exactly, exactly. And it's pushing through the fear. When I first started, so for everyone who is watching in, you know, if you feel like you have some imposter syndrome, when I first started this show and I started talking about my relationship that I left and all of the pieces, I was scared, like so scared. And then I had so much interest, I had to bring on an assistant. And I paused and I'm like, holy fuck, I have so much interest. I have to bring on someone to help me manage all of the interests. And my fear doesn't matter anymore. It is so small compared to the impact that we are about to make that I can't let it stand in the way, because there are people who are joining in the conversations, whether it's now or catching the replay, who need to hear these conversations, and that is what matters. So if you are in the online space and you have a business and you have that little bit of fear of, you know, for me the biggest time is, you know, what are people going to think, what are they going to say? And I love this because I had a troll come out this morning before 7 a.m. I'm having a back and forth conversation on Facebook with someone, and I'm dying. So I'm like, I am amped up and ready to go. No one is ruining this day for me. I am moving. I had the keys in my hand at 6 o'clock this morning. Like, nothing is going to ruin this day. And I sat back and I'm like, well, you know, you made it when the trolls come out. It means you're
Yes.
making enough noise, you're saying enough things, you're hitting the buttons that people don't want to hear. And that is when you know you're getting somewhere. So through the fear, keep going, because you want those trolls. Then you know you're making enough noise, you're being seen, you're being heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I have a podcast, and I don't know, back in early times, I don't know if you were ever a Clubhouse user, if you were ever on that Clubhouse app, but it was like this,
Yes.
yes, that audio app. And so a friend and I were hosting a lot of rooms on that app where we had met online because we had both, I had shared a post about some of my personal journey, which was being in a narcissistic relationship, losing my husband to suicide at a young age, and just all that came with that. So I put up this post to share. She immediately responded and was like, we need to talk. We have very similar stories. The first time we chatted for 2 hours and realized, oh my gosh, like we were both looking for somebody else, right? Like we were silently suffering and felt ashamed, embarrassed. How did this happen to us? So, we connected because we shared our stories. So then we started sharing our stories in a more public way. And the amount of stories and people that would reach out to us, or the amount of people that started opening up because they now were like, oh, I'm not alone. There's other people feeling exactly the same way. So if you're holding back at all, or you're feeling like you're ashamed or embarrassed, I mean, we get to control what parts of the story we want to put out there, but I encourage you, put it out there, because I guarantee you what you're suffering through, someone else is too, or has, and they're feeling the same way. And your story could really change a life by you sharing it publicly.
Yeah. And I want to come back to this quickly. We're going to have to do another episode on that, because that could be pretty good too.
Yeah, yeah. I know you mentioned it sounds like yeah, the toxic relationship thing sounds like we have some connection points there. And so
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
Ooh, I just want to encourage people, again, be kind to yourself. and just know that you are worthy, you are capable, and you are worthy of love. And I just think this is one thing I will leave people with. This is something I usually do during one of my talks that I will give. But I want you to go and take a few minutes, or not even a few minutes, but a few seconds. Take about 60 seconds. Write down everyone that you love. And then I want you to take a look at that list when you're done. And were you on the list? Because most times when I do this exercise, people do not list themselves. And if they do, they're way down on the list. And so I just think it becomes a point where we can notice that, again, we need to be kinder to ourselves and we need to love ourselves more, because if we want to love and take care of others, it starts with us. And that is a big way that you will overcome imposter syndrome if you are kinder to yourself and love yourself more.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for making it work in the middle of your move. My gosh, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm super excited. I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I gotta do this, and the appliances aren't even plugged in yet. Like, it's a brand new home, so it's so exciting.
Beautiful from what I can see, so congratulations.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining in. If you're catching the replay, leave your thoughts in the comments and we will get back to you. Thank you, Alyssa, for coming on here. And I do want to include quickly, if anyone wants to reach out to Alyssa, her information is going to be in the caption. And if you are struggling with self-doubt, I actually have an Eliminate Self-Doubt workbook and a confidence bundle. Both are linked in the bio, so you can check them out as well.
Amazing. I'm gonna have to check it out myself.
It's really good. I've been working through it because, it's the little things, right? It's the little things you don't think of. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I will see you guys on Monday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.